Buck Nation, let's go clap it up. Tampa Bay, I know you rockin' with the Bucks. Game time, man, you know we.
What's going on, everybody? It's BucDad, man. Welcome to the debut episode of Between the Hashes. With me, as always, my co-host, my brother from another mother, Britt Buck. Man, what's going on?
Hey, how we doing? And guys, welcome to the new studio, new lights. You know, same backdrop, but let's be honest, there's no better backdrop than this. Coming to you, new studio. This is going to be a lot of fun, and you know, Johnny the BucDad and me have been talking a lot over the off season about what we want this show to be, and the one thing that we definitely want it to be is something that you guys want to come back to. We're here for you. We're here for your suggestions, and we're here to bring you fantastic content. This is going to be your number one Buck show. We're going to be here between the hashes, BucDad, Johnny Bowers, and myself, the Brit Buck. It's great to be back with you guys. It's great to be back.
Oh, it is great, man. And you know what? NFL season's around the corner.
Is it though?
You know what?
Is it though?
The word, we've talked about this. Right now is about to be the worst part of the off season. Because now we got 5 months until football, until anything. No OTAs, nothing like that. And we still got to figure out when camp dates are officially.
Yeah, and a lot of these things aren't going to be sorted out as they happen. Now, the camp dates, they're going to be very much facility dependent, COVID dependent. I know that we're all sick of it by now. It's just the reality of the world that we're living in. But this is, as you know, as you say, BucDad, you are absolutely spot on, as always. This is the worst time of the year. And the simple reason is we've been given a load of different storylines, but we're not going to get to see how they play out until camps are established, until the shortened preseason starts, until the regular season starts. And in fact, in the case of one particular player, we aren't going to see how that particular storyline potentially plays out for perhaps the next 2 to maybe 3 years. So, yeah, there's, you know what? It's definitely, the football world gets left with blue balls after the draft. That's probably the best way of putting it.
You know what, man? It is. And I'm sorry.
I'll say it what it is.
You know what? I was sharing our show to all of our favorite places. You know what, dude? You're right. Like, this is gonna be the hardest part, though, is that 5 month wait. It's when a lot of things seem to happen. We've seen it in the past with players in Tampa, but with what we have. Defending Super Bowl champions, you know what, man? It doesn't feel bad. Our anticipation feels different.
Yeah, and everything about this off season is going to be completely different, because even the fans who are around and remember like the off season, that spring and summer of 2003. The Bucks were newly crowned Super Bowl champions heading into the draft, but there was absolutely nothing to look forward to because the Bucks didn't draft in the first 2 rounds, and they wouldn't for the following year. So, you know what? It was a great time to look back and say, hey, you know what? We are the world champions. But unfortunately, we've now got this situation where we can't draft for the future. There's nothing to look forward to. So coming into this offseason, we hadn't given up a whole lot of capital. We still drafted, I believe, I'm not sure if we drafted in the 6th round, but, you know, we definitely picked up 7 players in the draft. Yep. If my memory serves me right. But you know what, guys? Jump in the comments and tell me if I'm wrong. That's what we're here for. That's what the comments are here for as well. But yeah,
absolutely.
So coming into this year's draft, it was all different because 22 starters, offense and defense, had been retained. The core of the team that won the Super Bowl is back this year with the addition of draft picks. And that's what's made the whole process so sort of unfamiliar. And I'm sure ask Patriots fans how to cope with this, because we're kind of following their example. And you know what? Dynasties aren't bought. Dynasties aren't like built. They're drafted. In the NFL, dynasties are drafted. And you know, that is a hill I will die on. So you look here, coming into previous year's drafts, the first round pick that the Bucs have had, you know, how have you felt immediately after seeing a player get picked in the first round? Doesn't matter who, just a player picked in the first round. How do you feel about that player?
I mean, okay. Now, if it's a Bucs draft,
yeah, like the Bucs have drafted a person.
Well, like, okay, like with us drafting 32nd this year, it was weird.
Mm-hmm.
But
previous years, like not this year, previous years.
Previous years?
Go back 10 years. How did you feel about our first round draft pick?
Wasn't upset about it. I mean, to me, as a fan, I was kind of trusting the process. Now, if we're going back 10 years, that would have been what, 11? Who do we draft in 2011?
That's what I'm just checking. I have in mind who it is.
And you know what? I do believe I know who it is as well. So if it is who I think it is, we will go.
It was as well. It was a guy I was thinking of. Okay. Actually, this is probably. Oh, this might be a terrible example, actually, because I hated the pick when it happened. Okay, so the Bucs need a defensive end. They need help on the defensive line, rushing the passer, and they draft Adrian Claiborne. What is, one, your expectations of that player, and how do you feel about the pick in 2011?
You know, when we picked him, I wasn't really familiar with him. Now, I did my research. You know, I was excited.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really say he had a horrible career in Tampa. But it definitely wasn't up to expectation.
Yeah, and this is the thing. But when he was drafted, you expected him to be like an impact player. He's a first-round draft pick, right?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you need to. You should be.
He's coming in to change shit on defense. I mean, he's going to be the man. But you know what?
If I'm correct, didn't we wasn't McCoy the year before?
Or
was he
2009? I believe McCoy was
9. Okay. So we were getting somebody accustomed to building the defense of line, a pass rush with McCoy back to the golden days.
And this is the point. First round draft picks are supposed to inspire excitement. And, you know, we've all seen the movie Draft Day. And, you know, they all talk about it. If first round, like, draft picks are supposed to be sexy, they're supposed to be, like, inspiring, they're supposed to motivate the fan base, like, whet your appetite ready for, like, training camps, and you can't wait to get going. And you just want to see how this new player is going to come in and is going to change the franchise for the better. And then when you've won the Super Bowl and you've retained all 22 players, what you do is you go, okay, we'd like to have decent draft in this position, and he's the best player here. And that's who they drafted. And you know what? I'm excited to see what Tryon can do in a backup role, because that's what he's been drafted to do. He's been drafted to learn from JPP and sit behind him for a year at least. Maybe spell him when he wants to sit down and have a rest.
Yeah. And you know what? And we've talked about this. But right now with Tryon and all that, Yeah, I know he's coming in rotation. That's what he's here for. He's not supposed to be that impact guy. Now, I will be honest with him being that first round pick and that expectation of being an impact player. I do expect that when he gets onto the field, he does make that impact because
Yeah, I
you have a former first round pick with Devin White there who can help you with that playbook. You have other first round picks on that defense that are defending world champions.
yeah.
They could coach you, and so yes, I do expect trying to have an impact in some way or another.
So, are you expecting Tryon? Here's the big question then. Are you expecting Tryon to have a big season in year one, or are you just looking to see him make the field and look like he belongs? What is your expectation of Tryon this year?
I'll be honest with you. I'm not expecting much of anything. I'm expecting when he's on the field to turn around and again have that impact. Is he going to be a double digit sack guy? Probably not. Is he going to end up with Shaq Barrett type numbers in the sack column? Probably not. Can he get double digit sacks? Absolutely. I will not sit here and tell you Tryon won't do it. I do believe he'll have a good rookie season because there's not that weight on his shoulders the way it was, say, as Devin White.
Yeah, the guy has definitely got the talent. There's a reason why he was drafted at the end of the first round by the Bucks. They see something in him, and they see him as the heir apparent to JPP. I just want to give a massive shout out as well to James Flash Ludeman joining us.
Absolutely, man. I just seen that. What's going on, James? How you doing, brother?
But great to have a friend that's making the comments. But yeah,
absolutely.
He's been brought in to be the heir apparent. And what I want to see from him this year is I want to see that he's picking up the playbook. I want to see that when he's on the field, he looks like he knows what he's doing, that there isn't any sort of lag from learning the college game to learning the pro game. I want to see that he's building the tools so that when he is pushed into a more prominent role, that he can step into it and hit the ground running. Tryon is one of those players who will be eased into the NFL because he doesn't have to be rushed in. And this is what we were touching on with the previous drafts that we were talking about earlier. Now, previous first and second and third round, hell, even fourth round picks sometimes, the team's been that bad in recent years, have been expected to come in and contribute in year one and be great players. And just anybody sort of remember the draft, how it used to be when, you drafted players to be backups, to sit for a year because only an idiot would play a rookie in their rookie year, and it's rookie in the rookie year. Ignore that bit. Now, what is it that we've sort of done with the NFL now is as college players have gotten better, faster, stronger, as the game has evolved, these younger players are being able to use physical talents over the top of some players who are lacking in physical ability in the NFL because injuries, age catching up with them, etc. And we're seeing more and more first and second round draft picks coming into the league and then essentially having careers ruined because they were expected to be the savior of a franchise that got that number one or was picking in the top 10 for a very valid reason. I mean, let's go back and look at some of those Jacksonville Jaguars teams, some of the Bucks teams, some of the Browns teams. I mean, these are teams that over the past 20 years, give or take, have been picking in the top 10 of the draft fairly consistently.
Yeah. And you know what? Before you go on, let me just give a shout out to all Saint fans in these NFC South groups because we're the basement dwellers, but yet we're defending Super Bowl champs. So big shout out, and we love you guys. We'll see you soon.
But yeah, it's going to be. It was interesting to see how they drafted because they literally went after guys who had great upside, but had a few problems that could potentially be coached out of them. Now, no, I'm not going to sit here and like say that I'm a coaching genius or anything like that, and I understand how the coaches are going to do this. What I can say is when you go from the NCAA to the NFL, things change. You are, instead of having to do classes, instead of having to do community program work, instead of having to do like X, Y, and Z, your entire life is about to become football. From morning until afternoon, it is going to be football, football, football. You're either going to be playing football, you're either going to be getting spoken to about football, you're going to be watching football, or you're going to be talking about football. It's going to be football 24/7. And that immersion is definitely going to help a lot of players. When it's like, if it's something like sloppy footwork, or in the case of like Kyle Trask, for example, I know we're going to come to him in a moment, but you look at some players who have got issues, it's like, you know what, the mechanics aren't great, this thing here isn't great, but you know what, they are coachable. And when he plays well and you see the good things he does, this is how his ceiling could develop. And that's how the Bucs went with this draft. And I am, you know, guys watching this who are frustrated with the draft, I absolutely 100% understand why. This was a frustrating draft because nobody motivational or, well, you know what, like we're eagerly anticipating has been drafted outside of the guy we were just about to cover now.
Yeah, and you know what? You brought him up, and we're gonna get to this.
Don't act like it's the bear trap. This was rehearsed, guys. He didn't trick me into talking about Kyle Trask so he could bash him. This was rehearsed.
All right, man. We're on to that conversation, that loaded quarterback room of ours right now. Sounds really weird knowing we're defending world champions. All 22 are back. I mean, come on, dude. We got the GOAT. We have the second GOAT returning in Ryan Griffin, who happily carried Drunk Tom. And you know what? We also got back Blaine Gabbert. So
we've got football everywhere.
Yeah. So here's my question to you. One, how do you see the backup role being handled? And if you were in charge of it, man, who would be first on the depth chart to you? Behind Tom Brady, of course.
I was going to say, I mean, that's a little easy. Now I'm suspicious. What are you up to?
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, if you have one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the quarterback position in the NFL, definitely in the modern era, then it doesn't matter who you bring into the team. That's not a threat to Tom Brady. And you know what? Brady's a mature guy, and he knows that. He is not seeing it as a threat. So, you know what? He's been spoken to about the drafting of Kyle Trask. He agreed with the decision. He believes that he can help. He believes that the coaching staff can help. And everybody thinks that Kyle Trask is the right guy. So people who get paid a lot more than I do to make these decisions believe that Kyle Trask is the best quarterback available in the sort of value range that they placed on the position, and sort of where the Venn diagram met was Kyle Trask. Now, is that decision going to work out well or bite them in the ass? As I said, we're not going to know for 2, maybe 3 years. So,
you think that long?
The shit's about to get tantric with what's going on with Trask. So, you know what? I'm not even including him in the depth chart. Do I think, like, at the end of the season, once the playoffs have been confirmed, maybe even the division has been confirmed, and the Bucks are blowing out an opponent, they don't turn around and go, you know what, Kyle? You've sat around for 14 weeks doing this. Let's see what you've learned. Go on there and mop up the last drive. You kneel down like a champ. And
well, okay. Say we're New Orleans game. You remember when they brought in that Jameis Winston touchdown that he threw against us?
I bring in Gabbert.
You would bring in Gabbert?
This is my argument, and I've made this to you as well, and I've made it. I've made it to James, and James doesn't even agree with me, and I've made this to everybody, and still no one agrees with me. But you know what? I will die on this hill. Blaine Gabbert is a former first-round draft pick. Okay,
yeah,
and that means, you know, and I'm not saying like, you know, that means that he is a great player. I'm just saying that with all the scouting information available on Blaine Gabbert, he was one of the best players available in that draft at that position. So the guy can clearly play. Now, did he reflect his draft position in Jacksonville? Very rarely. But let's also not forget that Jacksonville team was a horror show. There was a reason why they were picking in the top 5, not even the top 10. They were picking in the top 5 consistently because that team was badly run from top to bottom, and it was an absolute horror show. Tom Brady would have been able to take that team. Trust me, Tom Brady would have made that Jacksonville team 8-8. And everybody would have been like, you know what? Retire now.
You are the GOAT.
You are the GOAT. We're just going to put you into. You don't need to wait 5 years. Here's your Hall of Fame bust.
Well, now, you know what? Speaking of that, what about that? Apparently, there's something out there about Kevin Hart talking about if Tom Brady's really the GOAT, he needs to win a Super Bowl in Detroit. Do you buy that?
It's a fair point. Like, to say that you are like the GOAT, you have to like take a bad team and win with them. And you know what? It's a valid argument in some respects, but let's be honest. If you said to somebody last year who wasn't a Bucks fan, Tom Brady's gone to the Bucks, you know what? This was his GOAT move. He came to a terrible team that had some good players on it. And what he did, he brought those players together. Everyone's acting like the Bucks went out and then like paid 22 free agents to come in and built this super team. It's like, no, actually the majority of these players were already in Tampa. Players that won the Super Bowl have actually had like more losing seasons in this team than they've had winning seasons. And there's a lot of those players. Guys like Levante David was here for the horror show years.
Oh, man. Dude, you know what? And you know how happy I was for that man to get his ring?
You know what? I think that the Hall of Fame, like now we're talking Hall of Fame. And I'm just going to say this and then we'll go back to the quarterbacks. You know what? If Levante David is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, that is just, they might as well walk up to him, crap into their hand, and slap him with it. Because that is essentially what they're doing. And this isn't me just being like the Bucks have got the best players in the world. Levante David has legitimately been one of the best.
He has been. He's the biggest underrated player.
Absolutely. You look and you compare him statistically to any linebacker that you hear hyped on NFL Network, on ESPN, or anywhere else.
Yep.
And you compare them statistically, and very often they don't even measure up to Levante David. So, you know what? He's got his ring now. He's played with some of the greatest players who are going to go into the Hall of Fame. There's no argument anymore. He is a Hall of Fame player. He's done everything that everyone demands of him and more. Quarterbacks. So, you know what? For me, Gabbert, he's a first-round draft pick. And as much as people are not going to like me for saying this, and I'm not saying they've got the same ability at all I'm saying is they play in a very similar manner. Tom Brady and Gabbert play virtually the same style of game. It's just that Tom Brady is vastly superior at it, as he is to everybody else. This offensive line needs a guy who is going to stand around in the pocket or quickly make a decision that he's getting out of it. Now, we had the conversation before the show, and I'm not going to bore you, and we're not going to rehash, we're not going to start beating dead horses. The last guy here couldn't do that consistently. Now, Blaine Gabbert might not be the best quarterback in the world, but you know what? If he needs to come in for a drive or, even a few drives, he is the guy I would prefer to have than what else is available at the moment. Just simply because the offense won't need to make any adjustments. Gabbert can come in, and yes, the skill level will drop, but as long as he's able to accurately complete passes, he's shown he can do, and he can make a decision whether or not he's staying in the pocket quickly so he can escape. And we've seen, in fact, he was playing well in preseason up until the point he fractured his collarbone. So,
and you know what? And I've been paying attention to him, especially in his Arizona days, because of a buddy of mine. And no, but I'm not against Gabbert. That
is he the best option available? Probably
absolutely
not.
For a backup, yeah. Right now, number 2, I agree. Now number 3.
Now number 3. And this is going to hurt a lot of people's hearts. It actually hurts my heart as well to say this, because I would say goodbye to one of the longest tenured Bucs. You know what? The guy got his ring, and he's the ultimate scout quarterback. That's what I've heard said so often about Ryan Griffin. We've seen him.
Whoop. Hey, brother, you still there? All right, so that isn't really quite scripted. So I'm going to continue while we're waiting on him to come back. Now I do know what he's saying, and it's time to get rid of Blaine Gabbert, Ryan Griffin. Time to part ways with him. And yes, wholeheartedly, I can say I agree. But at the same time, that means you're bringing in, second round draft pick Kyle Trask. As great as that would, to me, he knows, and we'll really get back to it. Up, there he is. So we're just talking about.
You know what? You've got to love technical problems when they happen. It's outstanding. And I was just in mid-flow as well. Where did we get up to? Yeah, Ryan Griffin.
We're talking about getting rid of Ryan Griffin.
Yeah, he's one of the longest tenured Bucs on the roster. Believe it or not, he's been here for a very long time. He's got his ring now, and I think that is quite a beautiful parting gift for all the years of service he's put in being the scout quarterback. And he's now got tape out there. Teams have seen what he's about. I think he should be given the chance to go onto the market and try and compete for a backup role.
Well, and say he does that. Where could you see Ryan Griffin at?
I mean, right now, I couldn't answer that because there's so many quarterback situations that are up in the air. Like, I don't see him sticking anywhere in the NFC South. I think everybody's set at quarterback.
Yeah.
Could he land with the Falcons to back up Matt Ryan? Possibly, because they do sort of play very similar styles. But then again, one of the great things about Ryan Griffin is, reportedly, he is great at mimicking other styles of quarterbacks, and that's what's made him such a great scout quarterback.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't know. Kyle Trask has got to be handled very gingerly, very, very carefully. And eased into it. I don't think he needs to be rushed into anything at all. He just needs to be immersed in playing quarterback in the NFL, in practices, getting all the coaching, getting all the plays, so that when he does actually get onto the field, it has become second nature to him already. The game has already slowed down because he's practicing with the guys at full speed. He's learned all the plays, all the audibles. He knows all the option routes and everything about that offense he's got and understands. And this is where I was saying earlier on, with the coaches and it being just 24/7 football, for someone like Kyle Trask, who has issues with maybe getting a little bit hot-footed whilst he's standing around in the pocket and not getting a great base to throw from, that definitely affects not only the velocity but also the accuracy of the pass. These are things that the coaches and, as I've said, Tom Brady himself have looked at and said, yeah, that's coachable. If you can coach him out of that, you potentially have a great player. And that's the situation that we've got right now. And you know what? I'm happy with it. I think Trask will happily sit third on the depth chart. And if
really quick, welcome our good buddy Donnie Pepin. Also, man, what's going on, Scullywag and Rob?
How you all doing, guys? Sorry, I've got my comments all the way over here, so like.
No, you're good.
I'm dual screening. I'm going to rely on like Johnny the BucDad here to preach out the comments, but unless of course I catch something really, really interesting. So yeah, can you imagine like 5 years ago a quarterback that you drafted in the second round being, you know what, he can sit in third on the depth chart. Everybody would go ballistic because you know what, he's a bust. He's a bust before he's even started. Like a second-round quarterback. Oh, he's supposed to be starting. He's supposed to be challenging the backup for the... No. You know what? He's got issues. He can be a great player. Potentially, he can be like a good player. His ceiling suggests that he could definitely be a top-tier game-managing quarterback, letting everyone else around him do the hard work. Let's be honest, that's what a lot of quarterbacks have made their careers doing. But you know what? If they rush him into anything and they say, hey, you know what, Kyle, now all of a sudden you're the Buccaneers' savior, he's not going to do well. He's got too many issues. And when he's not being able to think fast enough to play the game, he's going to regress to a lot of these like bad habits and learned like inabilities almost, because he doesn't have the time to think. He doesn't have the time to make his progressions. He essentially becomes a sandlot quarterback running for his life. Now, all that's going to do is go into a hopeless cycle of mistake after mistake after mistake, and mistakes reinforcing more mistakes. And before you know it, the guy's out of the league in 2 or 3 years. Whereas now they've actually got a chance with Trask to turn around and say, hey, you know what? You've got a great ceiling on you, but you have issues that you need to work on. Here's a team that isn't going to need you for the next 2 years. So, like, I don't know. For me, that's a win-win for both the Bucs and for Trask, because Trask gets to sit down and perfect his craft.
Learn from one of the best.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing as well. He's got zero expectations on him because no one's expecting him to come in and win any games. No one's expecting him to come in and even dress most weeks.
You know what, though? With him being a second-round pick, I hope we do see him.
No, Donnie, I'm not wearing my jersey. Do you know what? I've updated my threads, and I thought you'd appreciate them and everything, but this is going to be the one thing that this guy is going to hold against me for the rest of my life. I was big on things. I thought he could be good.
Yeah, well, I'll be nice about
schedule. Bring up the schedule.
So, talking one quarterback from the Gators to another, before we even go into what everybody's waiting on, Tim Tebow is expected to return, man. How do you feel?
Cynical. That's the only way I can describe it. You know what?
Is it become Aaron Hernandez?
Too soon.
It's never too soon for that.
See, the thing is, I thought Tim Tebow was great at the University of Florida, and I know like some of my boys here are Gator fans as well. And I thought he was great because the Gators did what the Gators do, and they build an offensive system around the strengths of the quarterback that they have, which is why sometimes a Gator quarterback can look like a demigod until he has to fit into a system that is about everybody.
Donnie says he's making a Tebow.
On the toilet doing a T-bit. Oh, you know what, Donnie?
Donnie?
Don't eat at the food trucks, especially not outside Scotiabank.
Let's put that up real quick. Yes, Brett Buck's definitely rocking with style now.
I have style. What do you mean I have style now? Evan, seriously, man. Wow.
Yeah, that was great.
Got me down. But you know what? Tim Tebow, I loved him when he went to the Broncos, in a crazy way, I really, really wanted him to do well. And when he won that playoff game, I was like, it is ugly, but it is all Tebow. It is just what he does. He just finds a way to win.
You know what, man? To be honest with you, that time with the Broncos, he wasn't given a fair chance after that because they brought in Peyton.
Yeah, and you know what? I think they realized very, very quickly that they created a little bit of a circus for a player who maybe wasn't going to fit the offensive system that they were going to be putting in place. And it was great for a year. Like, you know what? He got them into the playoffs, got the win. And I think when he went to like the Jets and things, that's when he should have been, actually, this isn't going to work out. Because everybody back then was telling him, you know what? And this is what, how many years ago now? Are we talking 10 years ago?
Yeah, I believe it was about 10, well, about 8, because there was a moment where he was with New England backing up Tom Brady, and I knew all that was a media circus.
Yeah. And this
again, scout quarterback.
This is the thing for me with, there are some players in the NFL, for me, like Tyrod Taylor is the perfect example of someone who is like, hey, I need you to come in, do a job. You're not expected to do anything. The guy comes in, does a really, really good job and wins the starting role, wins a bunch of games, and then they go, great, you weren't good enough, by the way, so we're going to release you. It's like, what the hell do you have to do? And there are some players in this league who, yes, Donnie, that's right. But there are some players in this league
had to.
And the football gods have turned around and said, and you, sir, shall have all of the figgy pudding. And it's like, what the hell? This guy is trash. And there are people around the league who play much better on a much more consistent basis that don't get any other love. Now, Tebow isn't one of these guys. I think he had a very limited career in the NFL as a quarterback. Whilst he was playing in the NFL and struggling to be a quarterback, coach after coach after coach approached him and say, hey, you know what, Tim? We would love to have you on the team as a tight end. You've got like a physical body. You've got great hands. You've got a great catch radius. You're fast. You're a big body to bring down when you get into space. You're shifty. You can run gadget plays. Be a tight end. And he turned around and said, no, I want to be a quarterback. Yet when Maya comes into the league,
I was going to say, what? And you're kind of getting at the same point that I'm questioning, because, I mean, you had Cam Newton backing him up at that point. They still had Chris Leak. So, to me, well, okay, yeah, he shouldn't have been a quarterback. He proved that at that point. Well, so did Johnny Manziel, but that's a different story.
Yeah, and you know what, Donnie makes a really, really good point here, because I know Donnie's also a Gator fan.
Sorry, Donnie.
Hey, he knows what he's talking about. You leave him alone.
Roll Tide, roll, baby.
Yeah, roll all the way. I can't even say that on a live show.
Hey, I was gonna say, if you would like, I still have the photo of Tim Tebow crying.
We all have that photo. But you know what? Donnie makes a really, really good point, is the fact that Tim Tebow's release was terrible.
It was
absolutely terrible.
You know what? I wasn't much of a fan of Tebow while at Florida because of the Alabamas, but he's a good quarterback. I'm happy to see him back. I'm going to be honest. And you know what? For him to come back as a tight end,
I don't see it as anything other than a gimmick.
Really?
And that's the thing for me. Do I believe that 10 years ago Tim Tebow could have been a decent tight end in the league? Absolutely. Do I think he can do it now? No. You know what? It's a different game now as well, and everybody can look great.
That has nothing to do with it, Donnie.
He definitely has God on his side. Well, you know what?
More power to him.
I'm not going to say one thing either or about it, but if anyone does have God on their side, it's Tim Tebow.
He was there for a lot.
But you just have to see some of the plays that he got away with, and then just be like, "There's something to this."
Yeah, I'll agree.
But
now, you know what, man?
Overall, I am cynical about Tim Tebow.
Yeah, you know what, man? Let's get to it. It's exactly what everybody's been waiting on. The Bucs released their schedule. All 32 teams got the schedule tonight, man.
I love how we managed to bait everybody right to the end of this show, to this 45-minute opening night extravaganza. The Bucs schedule, what do I think about it? I know before the show that we were talking, and I said, you know what, it could be like 12-4, 12-5, 13-4. Had to work. Do you know what? It's going to take a lot for me to get used to this new maths. You guys are just going to have to bear with me.
Donnie says 19-0.
19-0. Wait, you know what? Would we go like it's actually it would be 20-0. That I do know.
Preseason and all that too. You know what? Let's kind of talk about it. One, I actually thought preseason wasn't happening.
I believe it's just 2 games now. 3 games.
Yeah, and it's cool, but I thought they were taking that away. If I was a player, dude, I'd be pissed.
See, for me, and you know what, James, if you are still in the comments, I know that we have on past podcasts that we've done, we talked about this, and I've nailed in the past my colors to the mast when I've said, you know what, preseason is glorified scrimmages. It serves nobody any good, and it exposes your top players to injury. It can derail the entire season. And now, when we had that crap COVID summer and camps were sporadic, they were here and gone, and etc., etc., the beginning of the season really suffered for that lack of preseason. And as well, when you're taking away these preseason games, another thing that you need to consider is there are players who depend on preseason games to showcase their abilities, to show what they've got and how they can play. And when you I believe the proposal, if they're playing 3 games preseason this year, then great, so be it. But I believe the proposal is to go down to 2. And now you've halved the preseason schedule. It's great. It goes down to just 19 games instead of the previous 20 of the 4 preseason and 16 regular season. But you've now taken away an opportunity from players who are coming in. Now, it's not my place to say if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing or how teams are going to do it. It's probably going to completely further dilute preseason to it being backups versus backups and whoever is the least shit gets signed. It is going to. It is literally going to be like trying to catch the greasy pig, and nobody wins.
Well, okay, well let's talk about it really quick. Then, do you see any starters playing in the preseason?
No.
Okay.
I'm just trying to bring up the schedule now.
Okay.
No, I do not see any. Actually, no, I'm going to rephrase this. I don't see any starters playing meaningful stretches of games. I believe that they'll go in, maybe just like get used to running around in the pads with somebody trying to hit them for real, and then come off. I don't think they'll be there for a while. Sorry, Donnie, already talked about Ryan Griffin. My boy, I think he needs the chance to go somewhere else. He needs the chance to compete for an actual legitimate backup role.
Hey, he might be the next Nick Foles.
I hope it happens to the guy.
He's gonna be. You know what, man? In 3 years, we're gonna be talking about Ryan Griffin going somewhere, getting like Nick Foles or Kirk Cousins type money. You know how crazy that's gonna be.
You know what? As I say, I hope the guy does it just simply because, like, I've got a lot of love for him and the amount of time that he's put in. He's come in, a blue collar guy, done his work every day, and he's been great. But you know what? To the schedule, this is one beef I've got to get off my chest, and I don't know if anybody has seen it yet. I'm sure people have. I've not seen people commenting about it, is what I should say. When you look, the Bucs have got between week 3 and week 4, they've got the Rams, and then they've got the Patriots.
I know somebody who argued that, but it's because of travel purposes for us fans.
Well, you know what? The teams also don't travel that distance too. I mean,
they are.
But you are literally going from. You know what? Why not throw a team from stick a team in Anchorage, Alaska, just for good measure, and the Bucs can play them the following week, and then they can fly back to. And then they've touched all 4 corners.
Hey, listen, man. We already did that horrendous 2019 road stretch, and it kind of started because of that Rams game too. I remember.
I mean, the thing is we've got 2 home games opening up against the Cowboys, and then divisional rivals with the Falcons. Then that absolutely stupid travel between the Rams and the Patriots. You know, I can actually see the Bucs coming out of that 3-1.
What do you think about that, real quick?
That's not happening.
You don't think so?
Serious ref ball, not happening. That Patriots team doesn't scare me. So, you know what? Predictions as we sort of move into our twilight hour. I'm just going to go regular season here. I'm not going to get complicated. I'm not going to get pretty. I think that, the NFL is truly an anyone can win on any given Sunday league. And we've seen that time and time again. Even like Tom Brady, when he was with the Patriots, going 14-2 was good for a stinker. And that's why I can see this team going either 13-4 or 14-3. I think the team's absolutely got the ability to beat anyone who's put in front of them. After seeing how dominant this offense and defense has been, and how clinical at times when they've needed to be, how the special teams have been, there isn't a single team in the NFL. I honestly believe that we can go to Philly and kick their asses. We can go to LA and kick their asses. We'll go up to Boston and kick their asses. We'll come home and kick the Dolphins' asses. And you know what? What will be absolutely sweet, and this is going to be my prediction, and we're going to sort of hold to this. I am going to actually – you guys think of a forfeit for me to do. because I will do a forfeit if this doesn't come true. And my prediction is the Bucs will sweep the division. We will go 6-0 in the NFC South. So, guys, a little bit interesting. Actually, no, you're over there. You're over there, Johnny. Comments are over there. So, yeah, guys. And Donnie, not you. Just simply because I'm scared of what you would suggest. And you live close enough to me to enforce it as well, so. But yeah, anyone but Donnie. But Donnie, if you are going to think of something, be kind.
Hey,
yeah,
Donnie.
so,
one question I have for you guys, real quick. For where you guys are at, are the borders opening?
Not anytime soon. Do you know what? Actually, funnily enough, I was actually driving down to Niagara Falls today, and I didn't take the 420. I actually took and you know what? Only people who live around here are actually understanding what I'm saying. But yeah, so I ended up taking the General Brock, which goes off to the Lewiston Bridge over to the USA. And there's just signs flashing everywhere, like border access restricted, like, is your journey necessary? Only essential travel. Have you got this? And then obviously, because we're in Canada, everything then flashes up in French. Tabernacle.
Okay. You know what, man? You and Donnie both, I'm going to tell you right now, when they open, y'all better have y'all's asses down here at a game.
Oh yeah, this is just it's not a we should, it's a when when we're going to. But you know what? I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to close this show down without giving a prediction. You've let me have
no. I'm ready for it. I'm going to tell you right now.
I saw you sneaking out the back door.
Easily, the Bucs got 14 wins. Now, I know we've talked previously about undefeated and all this, and that's what they want to go for. They have the potential. Their ceiling, 16-1.
Yeah. I still think it's
16-1. And you know what? If we go undefeated, anybody watching this show, come up with something. And you know what? I'm going to go with you on we're going to sweep the division. Because I think it's possible.
So you know what? Now you've just opened yourself now. Like there's a double forfeit. The first time the Bucs lose a game in the division, we're done for. This show might not go on. But
no, it'll go on. But I'm just not going to be in the NFC South groups.
Yeah. But yeah, you know what, guys? Thank you very much for showing up. This went on a lot longer. This is the problem with our shows, and we need to work on this. If we're doing a half-hour show, we need to do a half-hour show.
Yeah. So you know what, man? I definitely appreciate it, and we will be doing more of these. Period.
Hell yeah.
So
yeah, the hashes for our schedule. It's going to be on there.
Do what?
Our schedule is going to be on the between the hashes Facebook page.
Absolutely, it's up there right now. So go check it out, guys. And if you're going to any of the away games this year, I will hopefully be seeing you there. I know I'm going to Philly, man. I can't wait for that. And I might be part of that LA takeover.
I just want to wear the Bucs gear in Philly. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I'm wearing it because I remember that. I wanted to be there for that shut down the vet. You know what I can't wait for though, bro? That Saints game on Bella's birthday. And I'm going to tell everybody here, if you've watched our shows in the past and you've seen my kids, you know what? If I get them for her birthday, then we're going to do a live show with them. And it will be live at Ray J.
Just not showing anything from the stadium.
No. Now, Here's the deal, everybody. The show, we will be doing it more as the football season continues to get near. We will also be doing special episodes coming up as well. Stay
Absolutely.
tuned. Oh, and explain to them about the video that we will, the analyzing we'll get to do
Oh, well,
while
yeah.
we play.
Something that I sort of briefly touched on. This is just something before I sign out. It's just like, a little cliffhanger for you guys. Obviously, as you may well have noticed, I have a lovely new studio with new lights, new sound, and everything. And El Bushman himself even noticed I have style. It's probably not style. It's just the better camera and lighting picks it out. One of the things that we are going to be doing is we are not going to be specifically breaking down film and showing you film, because that comes with a very, very expensive licensing agreement. But what we will be doing is we will be breaking down games for you and breaking down the action. Now, I'm sure you can imagine how that's going to look, but we're going to be able to bring you play breakdowns. We're going to be able to bring you like sort of footage showing you what happened and why, and it's going to sort of help us bring this show closer to you and bring you guys closer to the books, and also how we're thinking as well. That's maybe not a good thing.
Yeah, you know what, man? I can't wait. So, thank you guys for joining the debut. Stay tuned, and until then, go Bucks.